In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to both be a father and a highly sensitive person. You see, these are two very opposing energies. Being a father means to take care of kids who have many complexities, and being a highly sensitive person is being extremely empathetic and sensitive to your environment, to your atmosphere, to other people's emotions and thoughts and feelings. And when you have especially small children in the house who are all over the place emotionally, it can break a man down. So in this video, I've created a 5-step process that you can take in order to not only get through parenthood as a highly sensitive person, but to thrive so that you can actually enjoy the journey and the humans that you help to create. So let's get into it. Welcome back to Whole Goals. My name is Andrew Love, and my job, as I see it, is to help you reclaim your mind, heart, body, and soul so that you can generate massive amounts of harmony and enjoyment and life fulfillment, especially as a dad and a father. And in today's video, I really wanted to touch on this idea of being a highly sensitive person, because I grew up that way. I just knew that I was emotionally sensitive growing up. But at a certain age, I also became extremely environmentally sensitive. I'm very aware of people's energy, and that sounds like, where are you, energy? Oh, what are you, one of those guys? What are you, one of those, woo 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 woo. It can be very practical. If somebody's coming at me and they have a lot of anger or emotion, I can feel them coming long before my physical senses, like looking, smelling, anything. Internally, I am very acutely aware of their presence. And that's true of both good and the bad. When somebody's really loving towards me, I can feel it from a mile away. So this is both a blessing and a curse, because obviously it's nice to be attuned to your environment, but it can be overwhelming at scale when you have all sorts of different people. Like when I go into public, I am experiencing all sorts of things all the time. And in order to survive that, I have to take certain precautions. And when you have a child or multiple children in the home, you do have to make some preparations in order to get through the day. Otherwise, you will be just ripped to shreds by your circumstances. You see, especially when you have a little baby who's crying a lot, or a toddler who's freaking out, or a teenager who's just going through their moody stuff, you can get roped into other people's emotions, and before you know it, you're exactly where they're at, and then you can't lead effectively. For instance, when my kids are crying so much that they're hyperventilating, I start to hyperventilate without even knowing it. Because of the sympathetic response that I have to their needs, I feel their pain. It's like every parent feels their child's pain to some degree, but a highly sensitive person, it's just kind of amplified. I hope you know what I'm talking about. And if you do, then you know that this is like a disaster if you want to maintain a high level of love and support for your children. Because if a baby's crying and then you start crying, you're not helping them at all. You have to help them. It's important to stay empathetic without being completely one with their emotions. You have to detach somewhat from their emotions. Otherwise, it's so emotionally draining. If you get sucked into their emotional state, then it's very claustrophobic, because now it's almost like you're feeling their pain and your pain, and it's too much. It's just like not sustainable, this situation. So it's really important that you try as hard as you can to see their pain, to experience their pain to some degree, but not to go deep down the rabbit hole of their pain, because they need somebody to help lift them out of that painful situation. Children need a stable foundation to stand upon, and we are that foundation as their parents. And it's also an important thing to note that their emotions that's their growth. They're learning how to deal with disappointment. They're learning how to deal with anxiety. They're learning how to deal with all varieties of emotions. And by us just feeling it with them, we're not able to really be a grounded support to them. We're not able to give them that calm voice. If they're panicking, we need to remain calm. If they panic and then we panic, then you just have two panicky people. That doesn't help anybody. So to be a stable force means to be able to create your own energy. Even if the energy around you is very frenetic, that you can create a nice stable force of your own energy that can permeate and impact the energy of those around you. So these are the 5 steps that I want to offer in order for you to be able to be that stable force in your kid's life, even as a highly sensitive person. So the first step is to choose your emotions and choose your thoughts, okay? There's a temptation to want to sleep as long as you can, especially when you have kids in the house, just to kind of maximize the amount of rest that you get. And trust me, rest is important. But you know what's more important? Stability, mental, emotional, spiritual stability. And that happens by being intentional about your thoughts and your feelings. So it's crucial that you wake up before your kids wake up and establish a base of emotion and mentally, like who you are, who you want to be. I love myself. I love, like choosing, having these affirmations, having a commitment to a certain life, but also emotionally allowing yourself to feel positive stuff. The value in this is that becomes your foundation for the day, your emotional foundation. If you start out peaceful, then even if your day becomes stressful, you can go back to peaceful because you know you've already experienced it. You can go back there. But if you've never experienced peace and you wake up in a frantic state with frenetic energy everywhere and there's pandemonium, it's really hard to ever experience any amount of peace throughout the day because you just start out in fight or flight, and then for the rest of the day you're just fighting, or you're running, or you're freaking out, or you're yelling at people, and that's when you're on edge. So the first step, again, recap, is just to wake up before the rest of your family and to establish an emotional and a mental state of clarity. And I know a lot of you are thinking, but my kid wakes up early. Yeah. And how does that feel when they wake you up and they're crying or whatever? Stress. So even if you have to sacrifice some sleep, trust me, it's worth the investment. My kids were waking up for a long time at 5:30. I just have to wake up at 5. Sometimes they'd wake up at 5. I'd have to wake up earlier than that, because I knew that I had to get ahead of them emotionally and mentally in order to have that stability. The second step is to create an anchor for yourself, and that is a clearly expressed commitment that I am blank, or I am committed to being blank. And that is a mental thing, like I am clear-minded and extremely loving. And that commitment throughout the day becomes your anchor. If you start to go off the rails again, if you start to notice yourself, you're getting really tense, but you're committed to being relaxed, and you think of that anchor, and then you just take a breath and you realize, well, okay, I'm committed to being this. And if you never make that commitment, then you're always just wanting something else, but you don't know what it is. You feel stressed, and you don't want to feel stressed, but you don't know what is the opposite of stress right now because you're just in a state of stress. So if you're stressed out, but you have a commitment to being relaxed and level-headed, then that becomes where you go back to, and you train yourself. It's not easy to do automatically, but it takes training, and to create that anchor allows you to kind of realign yourself and re-empower yourself, plug back in to the person you're committed to being when things are getting hairy. And this leads me to step number 3, which is taking some alone time. This is not optional. Okay, everybody needs to establish some alone time throughout the day. That could be going for walks outside. It could be stopping and breathing in your office, or even in the bathroom if you have no other time. If you're really like a stay-at-home dad or something, just take some time to kind of plug in, unplug from the family and plug into who you want to be, to recalibrate, to allow yourself to see a vision for that emotional state that you set and that anchor that you set for yourself. That time alone allows you to go back to that, because throughout your day you're going to notice that you start to veer off track. That alone time is to take you back on track so that you can continue becoming the person that you choose to be. Number 4 is breathing in order to separate. Like I said, a lot of times when my kids are freaking out and they're whining, then I get really short of breath because my body's in a state of stress and I need to stop and calm down and breathe. So intentional breathing, and you don't have to be separate from other people. You can do it in the moment. I do it all the time if I'm having a stressful conversation with my wife or my kids, where I'm really in it, I'm trying to explain, they're not listening, or there's some communication breakdown. I usually see myself taking a deep breath and just breathing and trying to take in the moment, or even take a deep breath in and smile and just laugh at the fact that I'm getting stressed out for no real reason at all. That's the thing, we're making our life stressful out of just habit. We could be in the exact same situation, in the exact same conversation, but be in a good mood and it wouldn't be stressful. So in order to kind of alleviate some of that stress, it's important that you just breathe. Just like right now, stop, just breathe, just a nice old breath. You don't have to sound that crazy, but you know what I'm saying, just breathe, relax, have fun, smile, it's okay. And the last step, if you're a highly sensitive person, is to make sure that you intentionally stop your day before you fall asleep and unwind, unpack. I usually do meditation and breathing at the end of the day in order to let the day kind of melt away, so any stress that I've accumulated and all the different conversations that I've embodied and accumulated, that I kind of let it fall out of me so that I can actually have a restful sleep and wake up ready to go the next day before my kids wake up. Remember? So the point is this, if you're not careful and if you're not intentional, you will end up being deeply impacted by your environment. And as a highly sensitive person, there's so much stimulation coming your way that it's triggering all sorts of mental, emotional, and nervous system responses. Your nervous system is just reacting based on your perspective. So in order to change your nervous system, you need to change your perspective. That's by being more intentional, choosing your emotions, choosing your mental state, throughout the day recalibrating, taking time alone to just recalibrate and then to breathe. And then at the end of the day, you unwind and unravel. Do this for a week and watch, your whole life will change. You will be more relaxed. You will be less sensitive to the stimulants coming in, because when you establish a good foundation in the morning, things don't stick to you as much. They go through you. You're much more easygoing. Try this out. Let me know how it goes. This is my challenge to you. Try it for the next 7 days, see how it goes. I'm telling you, if you really sincerely do this, your life will change in the next 7 days. Okay? I know you can do it. Let me know how it goes. Leave a message in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.